Welcome to Final Destinations. In this episode, we are featuring the Eastern Airlines L1011. Eastern began receiving L1011s in 1972. Eastern held 40 company-registered L1011s in their fleet and leased 4 other L1011s for a short time. The airliner was part of their fleet from 1972 to 1991. The L1011 was known for being technically advanced. It could perform autoflight back in the 70s. It was also known for being cozy and fun for pilots and quiet and smooth for passengers. Unfortunately, due to performance shortfalls by the Rolls-Royce power plant and newly designed and more efficient twin-engine aircraft such as the Airbus A300 and Boeing 767, this aircraft really didn't last as long as we would have liked it to. There was nothing like the engine start roar of the RB211. The first stop on our tour is Miami, where N301EA was retired back in 1998. Tail 301 was the first production L1011, first flown in 1971. It was destined for TWA, but due to weight issues, it was delayed and ultimately delivered to Eastern on March 23, 1973. Off to Dobbins Air Base in Marietta, Georgia. N302EA is seen here sitting on the airfield, stored as recently as 2019. On September 24, 1995, the aircraft, now registered as 781DL, was operating Delta Flight 157 from Los Angeles to Honolulu. It experienced a sudden decompression. It descended rapidly and safely landed back at LAX. Costly repairs forced Delta to retire the airplane early. It was used for stress evaluations by Lockheed for a short time, but now is derelict still in Marietta, Georgia. Back to Miami, 303EA retired at BPI Aerospace after finishing off with Fawcett Air, registered as OB1659. It was scrapped around 2001. Now to Roswell, where 304EA was retired and scrapped around 2010. It was last in service with Rich International and was even featured in the film Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man. Be sure to check out impdb.org for quite a database of specific tales featured in movies. .305EA was retired at Mojave Airport. This aircraft was captured on the first visit to Manchester by photographer Ken Fielding in 1972 while on a promotional tour. The aircraft retired as Delta with registration N782DL and scrapped around 2002. .306EA retired at Ardmore Municipal Airport in Oklahoma. In this photo taken by John Proctor at Pinal Air Park, we see 306EA sitting nameless as it was retired in 1983, only about 12 years old. I have been unable to find a confirmation on why. If anyone knows for sure, please leave a comment. It just seems like a very young age to have retired that aircraft. 307EA also retired at Ardmore Airport, seen here as D-AERY of LTU in 1994. It was retired and registered to America Transair as a parts aircraft. Fun fact, 307EA returned for a short time to Eastern as 371EA in 1981. In another fun fact, 371EA was originally registered as a 747 planned and painted for Eastern Airlines. In yet another fun fact, that 747 was actually never delivered to Eastern. Off to Mojave. This is where it gets fun. Mojave was almost the final resting place for all of 308 EA. The aircraft started with Eastern in 1972 and finished flying service with Delta as N783DL. Parts, including the cockpit, were eventually purchased and used in the hit TV series Lost. The aircraft retired in pieces in Hawaii. There's an abundance of material with info and photos on filming locations available online. Here are some scenes from the trailer. You can see the cockpit here in 2008. I have links to some resources in the video description. .309 EA was operating Eastern Flight 935 on September 22, 1981. The aircraft suffered an uncontained engine failure and lost 3 out of 4 hydraulic systems. The crew landed the aircraft safely at New York JFK Airport with minimal control services and use of differential thrust. This aircraft retired with Air Transat as C-FTNB around 1999 and scrapped around 2001 at Mojave. .310 EA, seen here in this 1972 photo by John Proctor, crashed in the Florida Everglades as Eastern Flight 401 on December 29, 1972. The crew failed to monitor the aircraft due to a group problem solve of a burnt light bulb that suggested the nose gear wasn't locked down. Tail 310 descended into the Everglades, killing 101. There is a flashback article by the Miami Herald online with photos and stories. There is also a clip on the Air Boyd channel with a recreation of the final minutes. The aircraft was only with Eastern for 4 months. First flew on July 30th, 1972 and crashed at just under 6 months old. There are interesting accounts that some of the perished flight crew members were seen at times on Eastern flights after this accident, in some cases helping and warning of issues ahead. Interesting things to research. .311 EA was retired, while quite recently for an L1011, at a large airport in Bangladesh. The airport code is VGHS. I am not going to try to pronounce the actual name. The aircraft retired as Sky Capital Airlines, registered as S2-AET. It is seen here in 2013 in aerial photographs, but seems to have been scrapped shortly after 2014. Here we see 312 EA operating with Air Canada and Air France with a registration of CFTNA. This tail joined Air Transat and ended life unexpectedly at Lyon, France Airport. On Friday, July 6, 2001, while operating Air Transat Flight 906 out of Lyon Airport, the aircraft encountered brief but damaging waves of hail. The aircraft returned quickly, within 30 minutes of departure, with significant damage and a smashed windshield. The aircraft was damaged beyond reasonable repair and now sits derelict at Lyon Airport as a reminder of what weather can do to an aircraft. There is a more in-depth report and photographs available at aviationsafety.net. You can see the aircraft in Google Street View as well. Back to Miami International, 313EA was retired and scrapped around 1998. Here we see the aircraft in Eastern colors in 1978 and Rich International in 1992. Heading to Pinal Air Park, 314EA joined Eastern in 1973 and left the fleet in 1979. It served with many carriers, including the unique Peach Air. It was ultimately retired with Caledonian, registered as TF-ABE. The aircraft is seen here in Google Earth and scrapped shortly thereafter in 2008. Now to an aircraft retired in Canada. Registered as C-FTNC, 315EA was originally part of Eastern from 1972 to 87. Tail 315 was shared with Air Canada over the years and finally served with Air Transat. This aircraft was retired at Montreal Mirabel Airport in Quebec and scrapped around 2003. Back to Pinal Air Park, 316EA was with Eastern from 1973 to 1980. It joined Cathay as VR-HOB and retired with Air Transat as C-GTSY. Here is a photo by Keith Bradley of the aircraft being parted in 1996. Here we have two great photos of 317EA, which joined Eastern in 1973. The first photo shows the aircraft with Eastern Airlines on May 25, 1990. The second photo, it is now with Air Algerie on July 30, 1990. The aircraft was leased for a short time until it went to Delta as N784DL and was eventually scrapped at Mojave in 2004. And with a long trip overseas, one of the most interesting fates for sure is 318EA. The aircraft ended up in Daegu, South Korea as a restaurant, but more recently turned into a coffee shop. Tail 318 is now painted yellow and visible in Google Earth and Street View. The aircraft left Eastern in 1989 for Cathay Pacific, registered as VR-HOI. It was originally retired to Germany in 1996, but somehow ended up in South Korea. It should still be there if you happen to be roaming around in South Korea. To Greensboro, North Carolina, 319EA worked for Eastern from 1973 to 1992. This aircraft worked for Rich International and was eventually N6410B of Tradewinds. It retired and was scrapped in 2002. .320EA retired in Tucson after about 15 years with Eastern and a handful with Cathay Pacific as VR-HOC. Here are some great photos by Ian Abbott taken in 1996 of the aircraft at Tucson. Also in Tucson is 321EA, which was also a Cathay bird, registered as VR-HOD. It was retired as Kampuchea Airlines with registration XU-600. It is visible in Google Earth in 2002. The aircraft was scrapped shortly after in 2003. .322EA was retired at Mojave. This aircraft worked for Cathay as VR-HOJ and retired with Air Atlanta, registered as TF-ABL. You can see the aircraft in a hybrid livery in this 1995 photo by Ken Fielding. Andrew Thomas captured the aircraft in Toronto as Eastern Airlines in 1984. .323EA was retired at Bruntingthorpe Aerodrome. British Airways leased the aircraft with N323EA as the registration. The aircraft was retired with Air Atlanta, registered as TF-ABL. TF-ABP. Rumor has it the aircraft fuselage was used in a Bond film. Here it is, seen in 1999 prior to scrapping. Heading to Abu Dhabi International now, 324EA was retired here and scrapped around 1999. The aircraft was in Cathay Pacific's fleet as VRHOH and then finally retired as SE-DTC of Blue Scandinavia as seen here around 1996. Panning over to Söderhamn, Sweden, 325EA, only with Eastern for 2 years or so, operated for TWA, Cathay, and retired as Air Atlanta with the registration of TF-ABU and scrapped around 2001. 326EA served Eastern for only a year or two and also worked for TWA, Cathay, and Peach Air, as seen here in 1997. The aircraft was retired with Caledonian, registered as TF-ABH. It was scrapped around 2001 at Manston Airport in the UK. .327EA was sent to Utapao Airport in Thailand. The aircraft was with Eastern from 1973 to 1989, worked for Cathay, Dragonair, Kampuchea, and retired with Angel Air, registered as XU-700. It can still be seen derelict in Google Earth as of 2019 and in this 2015 photo. Here is a great photo of 328EA in 1976, shortly before the aircraft left Eastern for Cathay Pacific. The aircraft was registered as VR-HHG and then A40-TV for Gulf Air and retired with trade winds as N900D. The aircraft was scrapped at Abu Dhabi International Airport around 2000. 329EA unfortunately went out with a big bang. The aircraft was with Eastern from 1974 to 1991. Here, the aircraft is seen pre-delivery in 1974. It went on to fly with LTU as D-AERC and then was destroyed on purpose for a shoe bomb test at Mobile Regional Airport in Alabama. There is a video available of this test on Classic Airliners' YouTube channel. Remember, links to all media are available in the video description. Another awesome pre-delivery photo was taken of an Eastern L1011, this time 330EA. This tail was with Eastern from 1975 to 1991 and retired at Mojave as Fawcett Air and scrapped around 1999. Also at Mojave we have 331EA. This aircraft was with Eastern from 1975 to 1991 and retired with Delta as N785DL. The aircraft was scrapped around 1999. .332EA was retired at Victorville. Here we can see the aircraft with beautiful Eastern shine in 1984. We can also see a derelict in this photo taken in 2011 after retirement with Delta, N786DL. The aircraft was scrapped around 2011. Back to Mojave again, 333EA was retired and scrapped by 2002. This aircraft served with Eastern from 1976 to 1991 and was retired as Delta Airlines. The final registration was N787DL. 334EA was involved in a miracle. Again, an L1011 had to survive engine failures. On May 5, 1983, Tail 334 operated Eastern Airlines Flight 885 and was flying from Miami to Nassau, Bahamas. All three engines experienced oil leaks during the same flight, this due to incorrect maintenance. The pilots managed to get the aircraft back for a safe landing by controlling the situation professionally. In the end, the aircraft landed on one engine but needed to be towed back to the terminal as it didn't provide enough power to do so on its own. The aircraft was retired as N826CR with Tradewinds Airlines and scrapped at Greensboro. Back to Mojave for the second last time in this episode. 335EA retired with Delta as 789DL and was scrapped around 2003. Here we see 336EA with Worldways Canada titles in 1990. The aircraft started with Eastern in 1977 and retired with Delta as 790DL. The aircraft was scrapped around 2008 at Victorville Airport. At Opa-locka, Florida, N822DE is visible in 2004, shortly before scrapping. This aircraft was with Eastern as 337EA for just 4 years from 1978 to 1982. It was in service with LTU as D-AERP for a time as well. .338EA made it to Amarillo, Texas for retirement. We can see Tail 338 as LTU, registered as D-AERM in this 1994 photo by Alain Durand. It was scrapped around 2001. Heading to Roswell, we find 339EA's final resting place. The aircraft ended with fine air and was scrapped around 2010. Here we see the aircraft in a very unappealing photo in 2009. We jump a large amount of registrations to N372EA. This aircraft was retired at Manston Airport in the UK. It was with Eastern a couple of times between 1981 and 1990. It served with so many airlines I am not even going to start to list them. It was retired though with Air Atlanta Icelandic. Eastern operated some TWA L1011s for very short periods of time. N11002 was only in Eastern's possession from 1973 to 1974. Back with TWA, this tail crashed on takeoff at JFK on July 30th, 1992. There is an incident report at aviationsafety.net. Eastern used N11006 from 1972 to 1973. It retired as TWA and was scrapped by 2003 at Kingman, Arizona. It is visible in Google Earth in 1997 aerial photography. N31001 is seen here when very new in 1972 as TWA. It is also seen here in 2013 retired as P4-JAA of Raven Airlines while sitting in Roswell. The aircraft was with Eastern for just one season between 1972 to 1973. Before we get to the last Eastern L1011, I would like to thank rzjets.net and planelogger.com, as well as all of the photographers who capture these tales by freezing those moments in time that help visually document the legacy of each aircraft featured in this program. I also want to remind you that links to all items in this series are available in the video description. Finally, please be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes, and please be sure to share with your aviation friends who may find this interesting. Thank you. We end off with N41020. This aircraft is seen here with Gulf Air in 1978. The aircraft served too many customers to mention all, but eventually retired with Istanbul Airlines with a registration of TF-ABM. It was scrapped around 2007. Eastern Airlines will always be remembered for having a classic fleet. It must have been an honor to have those rare and majestic L1011s as one of them. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to touring with you in the next episode. Till next time, keep snapping those photos and logging those tales. Good day.